Hi everyone, Aquarian Humanitarian here. If you're new to this channel, we have been putting out self-development videos related to mental health, consciousness, soul mission, soul purpose that would help you ascend to the new earth. Today, we will expand on how to take your power back, how to raise your awareness on some of the habits that we should change, because one of the lessons we must learn for ascension is sovereignty. So, with that said, I want to welcome Sir Tato Malay, the founder of the AM Kamalayan Movement. Kamalayan means consciousness. Welcome, Sir Tato, and thank you for being here again
Hello,
to
hello,
share
and
your wisdom.
I'm happy to be part again of this podcast. And today we'll be talking about something that we really need to talk about because this has to do a lot. This has a lot to do with our Filipino nature, our Filipino culture,
Yep.
Filipino beliefs, and all the
Hmm.
things that we need to change.
Yeah, go for
So
it.
practically, well, as what we have noticed, that's exactly what we're seeing now. All the problems that we see in terms of our government, in like in terms of what's going on in the Senate, all
Yeah.
this brouhaha is all about only one thing. It's all about us being Filipinos. It's all about our culture. I mean,
Okay.
if you will really notice all the things that they're talking about, actually they are not they are not really after the welfare of the people. They're just after themselves. I mean,
Yep.
if you notice
They're
all
just
their
making it obvious.
agendas, their
Hmm.
agendas, it's all coming out clear that they are protecting their own agendas or their own, I would
Interest.
say, interests.
Hmm.
So that actually stems from scarcity beliefs or scarcity mentality.
Yep.
Kasi, yun na nga, what happens really is, I want everything for our family only. That's why, if you will notice now that all this started when we elected politicians who belong to dynasties, political dynasties.
Hmm.
And what are political dynasties for? Only to protect their own interests. In other
Yeah.
words, they will only support their own. There's nothing wrong with supporting a family member, but having all your family members at the same time be part of the government in terms of, well, no, local and national positions. I mean,
Hmm.
are there are there nobody? I mean, nobody else Nava is qualified. I mean, only their family members. I mean, is that
Yes.
all there is to it?
Yep.
So you will notice now that there is really a problem with our culture. Kapamilya. Yun ang tawag doon eh. Basta kung hindi ka pamilya, ayaw namin.
Yeah.
Kailangan within our family uh, um, ano, circle only.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening now. They are really trying to to uh, to say that they are actually after the welfare of the Filipino people, but when you hear them talk and defend when we see them how they defend themselves, they're not protecting the Filipinos. They're protecting their own families, their own interests. So that stems from scarcity mentality. Well,
Hmm.
we have different kinds of mentality issues. Like if you will remember, we discussed this a long time ago. I mean, one of them is the ukay-ukay mentality. One of them is the um, ano ba ba ito, yung I'm trying to recall now. Because all these things really are part of our beliefs. In other words, our negative beliefs as a people. So, okay, now when when we now get to really discuss all this different kinds of mentality. As I've said, we have what we call the ukay-ukay mentality. That also is a part of what we call scarcity mentality. We want something cheap. We want something uh, um, something that is, I would say, uh, well, what do you call this? When you go for a brand and you want to be proud of that brand because you know it's the leading brand worldwide, and if you use that particular brand, you feel as if you're an insider or you feel you're within the trend that's happening, whatever. Now the thing is, many of these things that we see being sold are very expensive. And so what we do is we look for something that is fake. And what do you see in ukay-ukay stores? Many of them are fake brands. And some of them are second-hand brands. But still, since the name of the brand is there, you would still try to buy buy them because it's cheap. And so people will not notice whether it's a second-hand thing or a fake thing, as long as the brand is there. But what does it do to our psyche? Knowing that it's not really the real thing. In other words, we got it for a very cheap price, and then we show it off to people that now I'm wearing something which everyone wears in terms of, well, my idols, my I mean the people I admire, and so I'm one with them. That's how we think. That's how we look at ourselves when we patronize this ukay-ukay goods. Na we think that we are now above everyone else or whatever. But but actually, deep inside, we know who we are. That we are not really using the real brand or the expensive one, and it's a fake one. So what does that make us of? Fake, fake people. So we are really now creating a lot of fake Filipino people because that's how we think. Anything that's fake, okay lang because you know people won't know, but we use them. So what does that mean? We cheat. We cheat in so many areas in our lives. We try to cover up because we're covering up something that is not true to us. Not that is not true in us. We are not really being sincere as to who we are. So what does that mean? We're showing off something. We're showing another kind of a personality to just show up. I mean, show off to other people for us to be accepted by society. And that's exactly how many of us think. Now, many of these politicians, they got into politics. Many of them were not really rich at first. I mean, they didn't come from rich families, but because of corruption, they actually allow themselves to be part of this corruption so that they can get the kind of money they can use to buy the things that could prop them up as someone who is social or rich or wealthy. And that's exactly what we see in them. They're all fake. And what is that about? I mean, it's all because we are really fake in terms of who we are. Because another thing that made us patronize all these okay things, our self-worth. We feel unworthy. So somehow, sige, pwede na yan, kaya ko na yan. Kasi ano ba naman ang kakayahan ko? I mean, who am I? So that's exactly how we think. And where did that come from? Being unworthy. From religion. Why? Because religion actually always pounded to us that, you are just human beings. You are not amounting to anything. You are not accepted really in terms of what God wants us to be. And so we had accepted that low kind of consciousness in terms of who we are. Again, as I've said, this is what we had learned. It was taught to us. We were told about it. Media practically more of encouraged it. And so it became normal for us to think that way. And now we are now seeing all these things that are happening. And somehow we tell ourselves, why is it now? Like, why are we now like this? Why is the Philippines like this? Now, I want to ask you that question. Why did you allow it to be that way? Because it shouldn't have been that way. Had we really were able to know who we are, who we really are. But the problem is we don't know who we really are. So somehow anything that can prop us up, prop us, we would agree to being, to use it or to be part of it. So we are really a fake people. And tapos we complain about fake news. We complain about fake whatever. But again, as I've said, schools produced fake students because of what they taught. And so what's going on now? We are producing a fake group of people who will take over the leadership of our country. And not only that, those who will vote as well are also fake. So they're one and the same. So how else can you change that? Because sabi nga nila, we need to change it. But how will you change it? You have to change practically everything that we know. We have to change who we are. We really have to know who we really are. That's why this is something that I am now really getting into, because nobody can speak this way unless you have studied everything that you can come up, you can get hold of in terms of finding out where we came from. And exactly, again, as to who we really are, who
Okay.
made us, who created us. Oh, yes, okay. Oh, yeah.
Can I add something before I forget? Because this is has something to do with just with something you said. I just want to say that it's not that we should change. It's remember who we are.
Yeah.
Because we
Remember who we
don't
are.
remember who we are. That's why we act the way we are. So if you remember who you are, then none of these
Exactly.
should have happened. But the thing
And
is, you forgot.
who
You forgot who you
who
are.
are we
Now you
really?
try to remember.
Because religion never really said who as to who we really are. They never really emphasize that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. They never really taught us that we are gods, but it's in the Bible. We were never taught that we are creators, that we are one with God, that we are really God as we. I mean, in terms of what we have learned in the Gnostic teachings. So, exactly, nobody remembers that because they erased it from the teachings that they were supposed to teach us. And so we have Catholic schools who are teaching a way of life that is fake, that is not true. And somehow many of the politicians that we have came from this established Catholic exclusive schools, and they are now doing what they have learned, or practically what they have learned from their schools. And somehow, if you really analyze everything that they are talking about and what they have learned, it's really disastrous, because you know that it's not really true. I mean, that the kind of things that they want to do for themselves and for other people, because they have looked at everything from the materialistic point of view only. It's just physical, and they forgot all about the spiritual aspect of us, of everything. Everything is spiritual in the first place. So they had reversed and everything to the point that we are now living a I would say, what do you call that? A virtual life that is really a creation of us, according to what we believe in. That's all. I
We
mean,
collectively created the reality that we live in. That's the bottom line. And it's not just contained to the Philippines, but every country.
every
We
country,
allowed it.
exactly.
Yeah. So
So
now that
we
we
have,
established that problem, let's now shift to what can be done. What should we do? Because I don't want
well,
to I don't want to stick around in the theme of here's the problem, here's the problem. Let's now move forward and talk about what needs to change. Obviously, our consciousness needs to be
I don't
changed.
know exactly I don't know exactly as to how effective this closure movie will have on people, because the moment it's shown, I haven't seen it yet, that's why I cannot talk about it. But I know it will somehow create that kind of, I would call a momentum in terms of people wanting to know who we really are, because I think that's part of what they have in the movie, that we are not really who we are in terms of what we believe in, because we were created by um, extraterrestrial beings. If you now look at that particular instance, that particular, I would say, scenario, that we were created by extraterrestrial beings. Now the thing here is, what are we now really? We're hybrids. We are part of that galactic extraterrestrial, uh, multidimensional beings that we are. But again, of course, that is not the complete picture. All of this is part of that one God that we're talking about, because there is a universal law that I learned also from the galactic lessons I have compiled. The all is in the one, and the one is in the all. It's in the Gnostic teachings as well. We are one with that God, and God is one with us. In other words, we are all part of that one, and that one is part of all of us. So we have to now look at everyone as gods, as well. Now the thing here is, of course, people will not accept that, because we were made to believe that, you know, the only gods that we have acknowledged are, well, of course, the one God, the Father, and the Son, and the other masters, ascended masters, that are also acknowledged as gods by other religious beliefs, religious organizations. Now, the thing here is, what about the rest of humanity? Isn't it that we are also the same as that of that ascended master that we are talking about? That means the only change or the only difference that they have, that we have with them, is our consciousness. If we are able to achieve that high level of consciousness, we are also going to become that kind of a master that we can be. We can ascend to that particular level of consciousness. But unless we do that, we belong now to that lower level of consciousness that is separating us from everything else. But again, as I've said, that's why Kamalayan or consciousness really is important to be taught to people, because we need to really make people understand that we have everything in us. That consciousness, all those consciousness levels are in us. All we need to do is to choose the frequency where we want to become, where we want to be at one particular point in time. Because we can always go up and down. There's no limitation to that. There's no, rule that says you can only stay in this one particular level of consciousness. But we can become according to what we could believe in, what we can now transform into. So all these things, we really need to understand that there are really many things that were not taught to us by religious organizations. Even if it if even if they are already written in the Bible and in the ancient texts, somehow the interpretations are still not, we are not able to really understand it perfectly, because we somehow interpret them literally, and as what many of the teachings were inscripted there in the texts, many of them are supposed to be interpreted in a quantum manner, or in a metaphysical interpretation. And Jesus was practically talking about metaphysical things most of the time when he lectured, when he taught all the parables that he taught his apostles. It's easy to understand literally, but they have metaphysical interpretations, and somehow that was not taught to us. What was taught to us was the literal translation of what Jesus taught us. So many of the things are not really understood properly. That's why we are now living a confused, fake way of life, because everything is not taught properly. And again, as what you've said, who will teach us? All we need to do is to now go and look for it ourselves, because nobody is supposed to teach you that anymore. It's up to you. It's all up to everyone to discover who we really are, because it's already everything is out there. It's all up to us to now to have this initiative, like what I did 25 years ago when I discovered that what I was believing was not true in terms of the religious teachings that I was being taught. And so when I started to question, they couldn't answer. And so if they couldn't answer, the priests couldn't answer, the pastors couldn't answer. I said, okay, I'll do it on my own. And I studied on my own. And I was able to discover all these things that I am now talking about. And I was guided. One thing that we need to understand is we have guides, we have spirit guides, we have practically everyone who can be of help to us. All we need to do is to ask them. Even the extraterrestrials, who are not exactly as spiritual as they are in terms of what we understand of them. But if you look at their kind of beliefs, they're so much advanced. As a matter of fact, this is exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm going to give workshops as to success principles, not taught by human beings, but taught by galactic beings. And I was able to compile a lot of them. And somehow they're very practical, they're very useful, and especially in a changed world where we are now, this is where we can now really use them properly. Kaya sabi ko nga, we are now living in exciting times because everything is changing. That's why we need to be able now to guide, especially the young people. I mean, I don't care about the old ones now, but the old ones now are catching up. As a matter of fact, when I um, um, when I included my book uh, in my blog, sabi ko nga, you can buy my book, the PDF of my book in 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 terms of, well, you know nga, you can get it through Metrobank. If you pay the money in Metrobank, I'll send you the PDF. And so what happens? A former classmate of mine said, I will buy 5 of your books because I will give them to our classmates. I'm just worried whether they will accept them because, they were brought up in a very Catholic way. But sabi niya, I will give that. I will buy 5 of them. But when he discovered it's on PDF format, ay sabi niya, sana may physical books because I will buy. Sabi nga, talaga I will distribute it to be able to help you disseminate your message. Sabi ko nga huwag na dyan sa mga matatanda natin, hindi ko na ano yan, hindi ko na babaguhin yung mga give it to younger people now because they are the ones who are going to stay longer here on earth. And sabi ko, but anyway, sabi niya, no, I'll give it to them pa rin. Sabi ko, okay, so wait for it. I mean, as soon as I get as long as I get the physical books, I'll tell you when they are available already. So in other words, they're already picking up. They know there's this change that's happening. They want to know to look for more answers. They want to look for more information. And somehow, since I'm one of the first ones to really come up with something like this, people are now acclimating in terms of, well, asking me. But yun na nga nakaka-lungkot lang because I've been posting it already for around 1 week or 2 weeks. Nobody is buying yet because it's on PDF format. Sabi ko nga, sayang. Pero anyway, I'm sure later on they'll catch up, even if it's on PDF format. The moment the movie disclosure is shown, they would want now to have anything that can hold on, that they can read. Anyway, so now another mentality that we need to understand so that we can get to the other problems that we are encountering. This biglang yaman mentality. Okay, biglang yaman mentality. Everyone wants to get rich at once. Everyone wants to become a millionaire at once. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But what do? They actually steal so that, they can get hold of something expensive at once without actually thinking of the consequence of being arrested.
You're talking about the politicians.
They actually allow themselves to be corrupt in terms of being bought because, nga, sayang. Sabi nga, still related to the scarcity mentality, to the okay mentality. Pero, they want to get rich at once. Again, that's something that we actually see in every Filipino that I get to talk, we get to talk to. That's why when you tell them that there are ways to really become rich at once, or to learn how to become a millionaire by just doing some things and not really working the way we understand how work really will make you earn a lot of money. So they want to shortcut it in terms of what they can do. And somehow it it can happen maybe, as long as their consciousness would allow it, in terms of the kind of mindset that they have. If it's in alignment to what they want, they can get it. But if not, even if they really try to understand all these things that we are telling them, they will not be able to get rich.
Can
So
I interject?
this is a yes,
Can I
yes,
interject?
sure,
Okay. I think this is going to, I mean, I'm not trying to be mean by saying this. I'm just telling the truth. And the truth is, the Earth's vibration is rising. And if you cannot keep up with the vibration of Earth, you're going to not make it.
yeah.
That's the
As a
bottom
matter of
line.
fact, the,
So if
the,
you are somebody who's vibrating very low in fear, in being selfish, corrupt, all these negative things that you do for your own interest, you're not gonna make it to the new earth.
yeah,
You're not. You're not. So if you don't make the change right now, you're not gonna exist. And I don't
mm,
know how much longer do you have. The date that keep popping in my head is 2028. Okay, 2028.
well,
So
this year
we don't know,
alone,
nobody know how that is going to pan out. But my understanding is by that time you should know exactly where you're heading. But
exactly.
right now there's first wave of volunteers that's already ascending. Okay,
Yeah,
that's already done the work, the inner work for many years, and these people are the ones who's teaching the others who have already decided and intentionally decided to ascend. Now, if you're in a
yeah,
situation where you don't know what you want to do, you need to now start making a decision and be intentional. Because if you're not gonna raise your vibration in alignment with the Earth's new frequency, you're gonna disappear. You're not gonna make it. That's the bottom line. And I'm sorry to say, but that's the truth. and
yeah,
and you research it on your own. Just like what Sir Tato said earlier, learn the Gnostic teachings, learn quantum physics, learn metaphysics, learn all of that. Start with that. Because once you understand the Gnostics, the teachings of Gnostics, then you can interpret why things are the way it is here right now in this current
exactly.
reality. So once you have that basis, then that's, just keep moving forward. And just like what the famous quote said, whenever the student is ready, the teacher will hear. Okay, so the help
Yeah,
is always there. We're always here. I mean, we've been doing these videos every week, trying to help everybody to, to be enlightened, to create more awareness, to raise their vibration, raise their consciousness. All right, so we've been planting seeds um, for a long time now. So it's up to you whether you want to ascend with us or not. Either
yeah.
way,
We are
it
now.
doesn't
We are.
affect us. We're,
Yep.
you know,
Exactly.
so it's up to you.
Exactly.
We're not going to be here doing, you know, weekly, weekly consciousness talks at because our vibration will continuously differ. So there will
All
come a
right.
time
Anyway.
then you're not going to probably see us anymore. Just like how other people, I don't see them anymore in my radar. No, it's true. It's true.
They will see us. They will see us in video in YouTube.
No, not if their frequency is not in alignment with ours. They won't even see our
Sabagay.
video because it's
That's
not gonna
true. That's
it's
true.
not resonating with with their their vibration. So they're not even gonna
Consciously.
see. Yep.
All right. Okay. Anyway, thank you. Actually, really, I mean, as I've said, we have already now we are now really seeing a changed world. We are now living in a new world. The old world is collapsing. That's why we are seeing now all these squabbles, all these quarrels rather, in terms of what's going on in our government, because they're just basically trying to hold on to whatever they can hold on to because everything is collapsing already. This is going to really collapse, to start collapsing. That's why kita na, even earthquakes already are now showing us exactly what what is it that we need to now change, because it's collapsing some structures. Like in Mindanao, sad to say, I mean, one video that they kept on showing last night was the video of a school whose building collapsed and all the students were outside. And what does that mean? What is the symbolism of that? School is not anymore relevant. Parang sinasabi na, hey, you don't have to go to school because they're not teaching you the right things. So practically, all these things are falling apart, collapsing. And so, kasi yun na nga, sabi mo, bakit ganun? You know, if people will get mad at God because they say, God, why did you allow that to happen? Because we need schools for our children. But why did he actually have that structure really collapse in terms of what we're seeing now? Because these are tools that the cabal and other dark forces are using to instill the negative things that we need to always um, be in terms of where we are in terms of our alignment. So they wanted us to always be in a low consciousness level. And so they are teaching us only the things that can really create as a, I would say, a
Further their
kind of
agenda.
life, a lifestyle according to their agenda. Yes, exactly. So now we are now seeing everything that is collapsing. That's why don't get shocked if we see more of this happening, because everything will collapse. This is already not anymore part of the new world. There is a change that's we're really going to see. It's a different kind of a world that we're now going to see. That's why you just have to keep on really making your consciousness be on a higher level so that you will be able to understand exactly where to position yourself. You have to align yourself now to the real ways of looking at life in terms of who we are, in terms of us being spiritual beings and having a human experience. Unless you think that way, unless you remember who you are, you will really also be part of the collapse or the, the destruction. So
Yep.
this is not something that we wish for people, but again, we will not be able to avoid that unless you really change your consciousness level.
Yeah. And the thing is, the truth is, people had already made that decision when they're going to exit
Yeah,
this lifetime.
yeah, okay lang.
They
I
already
mean, but
know.
to those who are still able to change their mindset, it's not too late. As a matter of fact, it's only now that this is a start. That's why when we really look at the cycles, we need to understand that we are not anymore living in the Piscean age. This is now the age of Aquarius that we're now living in, that we are seeing. Everything is already different from the former age, where what we have seen in the past flourished, and now they're collapsing because of the changes that we are now going to see. There is something that we need to understand. Okay, technology is advancing. And because of that, when we say technology is advancing, what we are really seeing is people will not have jobs anymore the way they used to do it in terms of what they studied in schools for them to be prepared for the future. These jobs that they are looking at are not anymore available because many of them are going to be robotized or digitized or automatic. Well, automatic will become automatic in terms of what's going on. Now the thing here is, in this next 400 years that we are seeing, I'm just talking about 400 years because I know it's a 2,000-year cycle that we're seeing in terms of the Aquarian age. In the next 400 years, we are going to see really changes in the job or in the job structures in terms of where we are supposed to be going to after what? After preparing ourselves or educating ourselves for the future. Now the thing is, where will we educate ourselves? How will we educate ourselves when we know that our present school system is not able to really now teach us the right things? So where will we go to? We have to now do it in terms of self-learning, self-education, because everything is already out there. All the information that we need, they're available to us in YouTube, in the internet. Practically everything that we need to learn are all out already there. As a matter of fact, even the best teachers that we can find are also out there. So why wait for school, your own school, to catch up? It will not catch up. It will not be able to catch up because the change had been thorough in terms of what it needs to really now undergo. They cannot catch up. Now the thing here is, if you want the latest, go to the internet now, and this is where you really discover everything that we need to understand about how to live in this new world that we're talking about. That's all. I mean, as a matter of fact, ako, if I ever have a child, I will not encourage, I will not let the child go to a school. I will practically try to teach my child to learn by himself or herself. Ganun talaga mangyayari dyan. I mean, what do you want to study? Okay, here is where you can look, where you can find it, what you want to now learn. Because everything is out there already. All you need to
But
do is to guide them.
yes, that's
Yes.
correct. But unless the whole system change, that option is really not going to work because the job situation, when they go look for a job, the employers would still be looking for, the certificate, your bachelor's
Okay.
degree, your
Uh,
undergrad degree. That's why, that's why this whole system will have to be changed across the board. It's not just education, but the system on how we get jobs and everything
no, actually,
they're all
okay. The
going to
job,
be changed.
there will be no more jobs in the future because all all the jobs will be taken care of by AI. Now the thing here is, what can you do to be able to create a lucrative life for yourself? Because everything now is concentrated on individuals. It's not anymore mass education. It's not anymore mass production.
It's
It's
your
all
special gift.
individualized.
It's your talent,
It's your
your
special
unique
gift.
talent.
It's your talent. You have to develop it, and that's it. You create your own way of looking at life as to how you want to live your life. That's the one. That's the real thing now that's going to happen. This is not
Correct.
anymore a theory. This is not theory. This is already a fact that everyone now, especially parents who are really rearing grade school children, they have to understand that they need to now tell their children to look for or to remember who they are. Exactly, because if you remember who you are, everything else will fall into place because you know exactly what to do. Now the thing is, okay, again, maybe if you still believe in the soul contract, you came here for a soul contract with your soul contract rather to be done in this particular lifetime in terms of where you are living now. The thing here is you have to now understand exactly why you chose to live in this present time. There is a plan. You made that plan. You made that contract. And before you came here in this world, you practically decided this is what I want to become. This is what I want to experience. This is what I want to do in this earth that I am going to live into. That's why everything is your own creation. You just have to remember now what was that particular thing you decided upon or you decided on before you came here because it's an individualized it's individualized form where you can now connect to. Like, okay, the clue here is maybe if you want to know who you are in terms of your personality, you can look at astrology. I am now really looking at astrology as a part of who we are. We cannot anymore ignore astrology because practically um, the planets, the positioning have an influence on us in terms of who we are. Now, I don't know exactly the terms because I'm not into astrology, but when the planets align, there is a certain meaning, there is a certain influence or a certain effect on us. Even if, for example, you look at our moon right now, every time we have a full moon, it affects us somehow, our way of thinking. Sometimes, sabi nga nila, people get crazy on a full moon because there are some things that are really we cannot control. And we have to understand that they are part of what's going on in our galactic system, our Earth. Now, the thing is, if you understand those things, again, as I've said, in personality, when you chose your own date of birth, there is a reason why you practically chose that particular time of birth, the day itself, because that's who you are as a in terms of your personality. Your personality can change if you want to change it, but you have to now first discover it and work on it at first, and then try to find out whether you accept everything there or you want something's changed. When I looked at all my uh, the information I could find about my birthday, practically it I agreed most of in most of them because somehow I could feel that they were all right. That's why nga ako, like for example, I am a Leo. I am someone who is sociable in terms of being a Leo, extrovert. I mean, I am really at home in front of people. That's why I can do talks, seminars easily because I don't have um, I mean inferiority complex in terms of being shy. I'm not shy. Exactly, I chose to be a Leo. A Leo. That's why I am more of outgoing, extroverted, an extrovert person. Now the thing is, what is it for me to learn about being an extrovert? Yun na nga, anything that I can do, I can easily be part of showbiz because I want to, you know, I can perform in front of people without any embarrassment in terms of well if I commit mistakes. I mean, okay lang. I mean, kapalan ng mukha yan. Showbiz naman, pakapal ng mukha yan talaga. So I would enjoy it. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. You
Okay.
will notice that in your birthday uh, persona. Now the thing is, it's not constant, it's not permanent. You can change them, but you have to evolve from that particular uh, base first. You have to understand first that particular personality of yours, and then change it later on. Because you will always change. Because when you are that as a child, not everything will not be unfolding yet until you become a teenager, and then when you get married, and then you become middle aged, everything would still change in terms of what you can do, in terms of who you are. So somehow everything is still changing. But again, as I've said, will you be happy doing all these things according to who you are? Yeah, you were going to say something.
Okay. Um, we have 5 more minutes and then we'll wrap it up because that would complete our hour. So I just want to reiterate that astrology would probably something that you might want to look at your natal chart, your sun, moon, rising signs, and don't be
Yeah,
afraid to try things because that's the only way for you to learn if that will work for you. A lot of times people are so afraid to make mistakes, so afraid. But the thing is, how will you know what will work for you if you're not going to try it? I personally not
right.
afraid to try things. That's why um you know, again, the higher the what do you call it? The higher the risk, the higher the reward. And a lot of people are not taking risk. They wanted to stay stagnant. They're more comfortable staying stagnant. You're not going to evolve like that. It's not going to work. Um, so as far as what Sir Tato mentioned earlier about um, knowing your astrology, again, you can um, go from there. I personally didn't learn any of that. What I did was I practiced on meditation, and I'm not talking about 5 minute meditation. Just being still and be intentional is very important. When you're intentional and when you connect to source, when you connect to your guides and angels and ask them questions, you're you are gonna be given an answer. Just
Yep.
know that and believe that. So I didn't learn any of the things that he mentioned. I just basically meditated and become more intentional and ask questions and decide on what I want. Since I know what I want, I just say, this is what I want and make that happen. Don't be afraid to say that. You know, when I didn't learn the truth about our reality, I I'm a church goer. I'm very active in church. And back then I'm so afraid to ask source of what I want. But that's wrong. And they make you believe, the church make me believe that that's wrong, but that's not wrong. We're supposed to treat our father, you know, source of all things. So why would you not ask what you want? So don't be afraid to ask. I'm not afraid to ask. But again, you have to know what it is that you want first in order for you to ask what it is that you want. Be clear, be intentional, and then you get it. And when you get it, and if it doesn't work for you, then it's okay. You try another way, but don't be stagnant. That's the worst thing that you can do, because you're not going to evolve as a soul like that. A lot of times, I'm just looking at my relatives, perfect example. They're very afraid to try things. But okay, so one last point do you want to say, because we're
Well,
getting
actually,
close?
nothing anymore because I think if I start talking about some matters again, it will entail another 10 minutes, which we will not be able to able to finish. So next time, I mean, I think we have discussed a lot already today for people to
Yes.
digest. It's not easy to
Yes.
digest what we are talking about here.
Yes, correct. So we got
So let
we
it muna ano be
sink in,
by them, accepted, sink, let it sink first to them. I mean, in them.
and and we gave them a lot of points on
Yeah,
what to look
a lot
for.
of shocking, shocking, shocking things.
Yeah.
I love shocking
But
people. Naman talaga.
but the thing is, if you understand the Gnostic teachings, it will help you understand the reality that we live in. That's it.
Exactly.
And be intentional when you're trying to find answers to your questions, because it will be given to you. It's written in the Bible, but you're not
Yep.
asking questions. You're not, you're not clear on what it is that you want. You have to be clear. Everything I want, I got, because I'm very
Yep.
intentional on what I want. I get it. It might take some time to get it, and that's okay, because time delay is sometimes our protection. Delay sometimes teaches us how to be patient. So, with that said, thank you, Sir Tato, for your time
Thank
today.
you also. Thank you.
And we'll do this again next week. Bye, everyone.
Next week. Bye.
Thank you.